How disability insurance carriers use the transferable skills game when the policy definition of disability changes from own occupation to any occupation. Did you know that many disability insurance policies will pay a disabled policyholder for up to 2 years of disability benefits based on the policyholder's inability to perform their own occupation? Then the definition of disability is going to change. The policyholder is eligible for continued disability benefits if they're unable to perform the material and substantial duties of any occupation. They mythically might be able to perform based on their restrictions and limitations, education, training, skills, and work experience. Let's learn how disability insurance carriers use the transferable skills game when the policy definition of disability changes from own occupation to any occupation. You need to understand what it is you have to prove and the games that will be paid. Now look, age is not a factor in this discussion. You rarely see age as a factor in the definition of any occupation. So what's the significance of your training, skills, and work experience in determining whether you're capable of doing other work in the national economy? Well, your work training skills and work experience impact your ability to do other occupations. And the issue becomes whether or not those are transferable to other occupations. Now, sometimes policies will use the word training, but the policy won't define a definition of training. But vocationally speaking, what it means is the training you might have obtained beyond your education that allows you to perform your occupation. The training may involve actual classes that you've taken from your employer or on-the-job training to learn a specific skill or task. So the question is whether or not you've got that education that would transfer. Well, how about skills? The term skill is rarely defined by a disability policy. Now, generally, a skill is knowledge of a work activity that requires you to use your judgment that's beyond doing a simple, routine, repetitive duty. A skill is acquired through performing that occupation for more than 30 days. Many vocational experts will define a skill to mean the practical knowledge of an art, trade, or science combined with a real-world ability to apply that knowledge in a way that's how the occupation is performed. It's knowledge and performance that makes an activity a skill. Now remember, the issue is whether or not there's other work that you can do in view of your education, skills, and work experience. So what does the term work experience mean? Well, it refers to the occupations that you've performed during your work history. Got it? Now, all this has got to be transferable. Once the long-term disability adjuster determines that you have at least a sedentary physical work capacity, then the next step in the claims denial is to assign an in-house vocational evaluator to perform that transferable skills analysis. What does transferability mean? Well, that's determining the work skills that you've developed in your past occupation and whether or not those skills will allow you to perform other semi-skilled or skilled occupations. So what do I mean? Well, if you're a nurse, you've developed skills that would allow you to be a nurse case manager. You've got skills that would transfer to your ability to do that kind of work. The greater the level of your acquired work skills, the less difficulty the carrier's vocational evaluator has in identifying transferable skills to other occupations that you could hypothetically perform. Now remember, I told you age is not a factor in determining the transferability of skills in a long-term disability case. So once they have determined that you can work in a sedentary capacity and that you've got transferable skills, what happens next? Well, games continue to be played. The vocational evaluator will be asked to identify those occupations, and depending on the policy, jobs that exist in that occupation that will pay a percentage of your before monthly income. So let me give you a math example. If your before monthly income was $3,000, the policy may require that the carrier identify occupations that pay at least 80% of that, or $2,400 per month. So how do they go about doing that? Well, they'll do a labor market survey. They'll be asked to identify those occupations and the number of jobs that exist either in the national economy or your local economy. Remember, again, it goes back to the definition of basically other occupations. Now, the labor market survey that they do is often inaccurate. You really do need to review your disability policy closely to see what the carrier is required to prove. Now, again, I keep on saying that age doesn't matter, and I say that because it's a factor in Social Security cases, but not in LTD cases. My clients get hung up on that. What should you do if your claim is denied on the basis that you have transferable skills and that the carrier has identified other occupations that you could hypothetically, mythically, allegedly perform? It's the carrier's opinion about your restrictions and limitations, the transferability of the skills, the labor market survey, and the wage survey are generally flawed. In my practice, I attack every one of those things in an appeal. That requires not only a knowledgeable and experienced ERISA disability attorney such as myself, but I think one who has Social Security disability experience, because these concepts really come from the Social Security world. And we also need to be able to work closely with your physician, get an IME or a functional capacity evaluation to address what your true restrictions and limitations are. And I need the opinion of an experienced vocational evaluator to combat that transferable skills analysis, the labor market survey, the wage survey. It really takes a team to get the disability benefits you deserve. If your claim's been denied, don't delay. You'll only have 180 days in which to file an appeal. Call my office at 727-894-3188 for a complimentary consultation. I will help you get the disability benefits you deserve regardless of where you live in the United States.